Hi.
Hi.
So, first and foremost, we're both in our PJs, and yours are adorable and super cute, and mine are like super not. So, I'm like sitting here like thinking about the difference between like men and women's PJs. Like, women's PJs are designed to be like comfortable and sexy and flattering, and then like I'm wearing flannel pants and a hoodie.
Big man pants.
Yeah. So, which I've been expressly told that I can't wear to the gym.
No.
Is that just fashion suicide?
It's just...
I wouldn't want you to be like embarrassed to be with me. Yeah. So.
It's not fashion suicide as much as it's like you look like you just crawled out of bed or just woke up, which is not who you are.
No, it's definitely
You've
not.
been up for hours. Like.
Yes. So here's the thing about that. In defense of pajama pants at the gym, they're extremely flexible typically. They're oversized so you can move in them well.
Comfy.
And it's mainly like the cut because like back in like, the Arnold days, like dudes would wear pants that were cut in this fashion.
Parachute pants and then tucked into socks. It's just giving lax, bro.
Oh, and I know that you're not into that.
2018, I just don't need that.
Yeah. So, do you want to talk about current events?
In the world?
Yeah, like Biden addressed the U.S. tonight,
yes.
like only about an hour ago. I think it went off at like 8 p.m.
Okay.
It was an 11-minute speech. It was from a teleprompter.
Yep.
He stuttered and stammered his way through it. And he didn't really answer a lot of the questions that I think a lot of Americans, including myself, were waiting to hear the answers to. Number one was like, like if you and your party have decided that you are unfit to run for re-election, why are you capable of continuing to serve as president of the United States for the next 6 months? And two, like addressing like a lot of the health concerns that people have, like specifically about his senility, wasn't addressed. And then like after the Trump assassination attempt, he gave a speech in which he said that it was time to turn down the temperature. And when you say that the election of your rival would lead directly to the end of democracy, which he did in his address tonight, then you're turning the temperature up and contradicting yourself. Like when people hear that, that's what leads or can lead to someone thinking that it might be a good idea to take a shot at the former president of the United States.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm trying to be an informed, how would you say? Just an informed citizen and informed voter. And I've been consuming a lot of political content. I have to admit, most of the content that I consume is from the right because that's where I personally align with, that's where I identify with, and that's like the party for which I'll be voting for. But this like election cycle has been like the period in time in which I've been like the most interested in politics. And I mean, I have an interest in it, an appreciation for it. I don't enjoy the deceit on either end, right? Like the feeling of constantly like being lied to, or having the wool pulled over your eyes. So do you have any reactions to that? Any opinions?
Yeah. Actually it came on while I was visiting your parents.
Oh, were they watching it?
Kind of. We started watching the beginning of it. I was honestly so surprised it came on because it was like David Muir and it was like live special edition, like presidential address. And we started watching it and he said something like, if you don't, or like needing to align with his party to like, I don't know exactly how he phrased it, but something like to ensure democracy or something.
Yeah.
Which of course, democracy, right? Like, I don't know. I've never considered myself to be a political person. You know this, I literally say it often. But I think a lot of that was out of fear because I was not misinformed, but uninformed.
Okay.
And I didn't ever just want to spitball either of my parents' ideologies because I think a lot of kids walk around or just crap they see on the internet. And I'm like, I don't want to sound like I'm regurgitating somebody else's ideas. Like, I need to develop my own opinions and beliefs and be an informed citizen. And like, I feel like this election cycle is just being pushed down everybody's throat, and I don't know if I just like wasn't privy to it in like the past. And maybe now it's because I could technically vote in the last election, but total honesty, I did not. Because, again, I was like, I'm not a political person. Like, I had that wrong idea that, like, my vote doesn't matter. I know that's not true, but at the time, that's what I thought. And now I'm just like, oh, my God, it's everywhere. It's all over the news at the gym in the morning. I don't consume any other news content, but today I get like a text from, Donald Trump party or something.
I've been getting those.
Yeah, and
which is weird because it's like, how did they get your number?
It's so sketch.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Like, is it a data leak or is it like just like an auto like dialer that sends to like
it could be
every
any number
ever?
Yeah. So I guess my biggest thing is like, I just have a lot of, like, fear for this country. Because, like, there are some crazy people in this world. Like, not even just the United States of America. In the world. Like, there are some crazy people out there who are willing to do some extreme
I'm tired of, like,
things.
the division and, like, the hate and the vitriol that's spewed from, like, the extremes on either end.
Yeah.
But also, like, I just feel like we're living in a time where, like, we're actually seemingly, like, being able, like, transitioning out of it right now, and I'm, like, really grateful for it. But, like, if your political or social ideologies didn't, like, align perfectly with a certain, like, leftist narrative, then you were a hateful racist bigot, and it's simply not the case. Like,
it still comes out. I still feel that way. I still feel often like for not being the most
woke person.
It's not that I'm not. I was about to say accepting, but that's not true because there are so many topics and issues where I'm just like, I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
But also, like, it's not my life. Like, you do you. Like, I actually think that about a lot of things. Like, or it, like, bothers me, makes me feel some type of way because of my, like, Christian values or...
Yeah, it shouldn't even be...
But it doesn't even matter. Like...
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't...
But it shouldn't even be controversial to say, like, as a conservative, traditionalist, religious person, this is how I feel about this issue.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be...
Any issue.
It's just my perspective,
Any
my point
issue.
of view, and my POV. Yeah.
Yes.
So.
And you know what? We've talked about this a lot, but I've also... It reminds me of my coworker, Jack, who was just featured on This Week with George Stephanopoulos.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was. It's unreal. Okay.
You didn't tell me this. George did a great interview with Biden.
He did. I'd
like,
argue
not long
it's
ago.
part of the reason that he stepped down because he refused.
It was a very hard-hitting interview.
It was,
yeah.
and he refused to answer questions about like his actual. How should I say? like his ability to fulfill the role. And he said something like, if the good Lord Almighty tells him, well, he must have told him,
he said the only way that I'm stepping down is if the Lord Almighty himself, like, comes down and
well,
tells me
he must have told him, or somebody told him. So, anyway, so Jack and his dad were featured on This Week. And
I can't believe
the
this.
day.
What a feature? What does that even mean? Like,
the brewery that they regularly frequent, their brewery in Dearborn.
They have a brewery.
They have a brewery in Dearborn.
Wait, they own it, or just like they go to it?
They go to it. Like,
cool.
I'm talking like weekly, if not like it's actually like their spot.
He and his dad.
Yeah, and sometimes his mom. Like, yeah.
I think that, traditions like that are so cool.
Kind of nice, right? And the producers of This Week somehow got a tip or something about this spot. And the person said, like the owner, who they know, says, we don't normally do this stuff because we don't ever want to we don't like
politicize our company.
Business and politics, right?
Yeah.
Which is what Custard Time did.
Because they're a business, and
Jack and his dad's political beliefs are
they just want to serve the entire community.
Yeah.
Right? Regardless of your political orientation.
Right.
That's how businesses operate. They don't just serve a particular subset
unless
of the
you're
population.
like a Chick-fil-A who's outwardly we're Christian, but even then
but they're not gonna not sell you a sandwich because you don't so
okay, anyway, so they him and his dad,
I gotta watch this, by the way. We're gonna find it later when we're done here.
Him and his dad, both of them, and I never knew this about Jack until him and I became closer and were more willing to have candid conversations about our beliefs.
So refreshing, isn't it?
He's very right wing in certain views, such as border patrol and things like that. But I
wouldn't have guessed that necessarily.
Yeah, he's not what you would think, which is all the way on the left spectrum. He's not all the way there. He's more mild.
Most people are more moderate.
Right. So then why does the media act like you said, woke? Or you don't have to be the most craziest, right? I'm not everything I'm not totally drinking the Kool-Aid or anything. No. I just am.
But our ideas aren't set in stone either. A lot of them are fluid. We're willing to learn, but one of the only ways that you can learn is by having open dialogues with one another. And honestly, I brought this topic up knowing that it's a hot button issue and that it's difficult to talk about. But I don't want to be fearful about talking about this because you or I might be worried about the way that we're either going to be perceived or whether or not our views are going to be accepted. That's not fair, and that's not what public discourse is supposed to be about. We're not here trying to offend anyone. I feel we're going about it in a very respectful way, and really, you and I are just developing our ideas and explaining our perspectives.
20s, early 20s,
but I do have opinions about these issues, and I know that there are people out there that feel the same way that I do, and you have to be willing to give both sides a voice, right? We can't
for instance, I think Kamala is a much better pick than Biden
for the Democratic Party.
That she literally is 59, and and he's
yeah.
Apples to oranges, but still,
Well, here's a good example of what I'm talking about right now. I have pretty well-informed, well-developed perspectives about Biden. I don't know as much about Kamala, but I'm going to research her, find out what her career has been and what part that she played in this past administration, what policies she supported and which ones she didn't, in order to be what do I think about this person.
I've heard. I actually think
she's a better pick than Biden.
Well, yeah.
You ever hear anybody? Okay, some people were throwing out the idea of oh, what if Michelle Obama ran? I'm oh man, that would be
That would be
that would be cool. But she probably had enough, right? Like with her husband.
Right. I don't know, but then Hillary, like, so that's not a really.
Yeah. But like Hillary was never going to get the nod again. And then like Gretchen Whitmer, who I mean we're from Michigan, right? Like I think that she didn't want to go anywhere near this ticket. I do think that she's going to like
make an appearance.
Eventually like run for president, maybe. But then there was, like, some other names were, like, Gavin Newsom.
I don't know who that is.
And then...
Well, they
who was the other fellow? I forget his name. But...
Well, she's pretty much a shoo-in.
Who's this?
Kamala. Because today,
absolutely,
Jack told me she has, like, $250 million raised so far. Or something.
She broke the record for, like, a single day.
I
know.
know.
And now she's, like, on the campaign trail. I have been listening to, like, some of the speeches that she's been giving. And...
She's well-spoken, yeah.
Well,
as she should be at that level, right? You just don't like what she has to say?
No, I just think that in this moment in time, Trump is what the country needs. I think that he's going to rejuvenate the economy. I think that he's going to help with issues concerning immigration.
What about, like, global...
Oh yeah, globally.
Crises.
Yeah, everything that's going on in like the Middle East right now, everything with Israel and Palestine, Russia and Ukraine, like yeah. So
I think that there's something about him that inspires this fear of sorts in other countries of like, don't mess with us, like you don't want to, like, wake the beast with Trump, which, like, it worked. Like, it worked. There wasn't and he said before, like, this never would have happened. And I'd argue it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, it didn't.
Yeah. So, therefore, it is true. But the thing about Trump is he is a very polarizing individual.
Maybe in 2020. In 2024, do you feel like he still is controversial? As controversial? Certainly not.
Not as controversial, but they've tried to do all these things like he's a criminal,
Kamala was saying that.
Yeah, he does.
Kamala.
He has... We don't know how to say her name.
I know, it is Kamala. I saw her husband give an interview, and when he said Kamala... Okay. And I'm like, okay, that's got to be it.
Funny. I guess to me, it's just like Trump. I kind of just lost my train of thought.
You're fine. I think that pretty much covers it, right?
It does pretty much cover it.
Yeah,
it's just
but it's good to talk about these things, and I just want to encourage like more. Well, all people, but particularly, like, young people to start, like, having these conversations with one another. And, like, I want to say that, like, it's okay to, like, disagree. Just try and go about it in a respectful way. But, like, if you do hold, once again, if you do hold, like, conservative, traditionalist, like, religious, like, values, and that informs your political opinions, that is okay, right? And don't allow anyone to tell you that it's not. Don't be a jerk. And certainly don't be hateful or disrespectful towards others, right? Like, lead with, like, compassion.
Dignity.
Right? And respect for the other, right? Yeah. And that's all you can really do. Just be fair to one another.
That's a great take because, like, something that work has taught me, and even though I work at a Catholic institution, is myself, Jack, Christy, and Colleen, so my closest big squad.
The Fantastic Four.
The Fab Four, all in the same little area. Yeah, we should. Like, the majority are extremists. Like, the majority
are not.
Are not.
Yeah.
Most people
It might be a little different at a Catholic institution.
No,
right?
but I'm saying, like...
Oh, in general?
Yeah, I think most people aren't extremists. I think that the media makes it look that way. But, like, I think most people are like, yeah, I'm conservative, or yeah, I'm more liberal. But, like, not like I am... like a socialist, or I am...
Well, like, when I was at Grand Valley, there was only one set of beliefs, it was like acceptable.
Allowed? Yeah.
And like anything
the
that,
DEI.
Anything that contradicted that was like strictly prohibited. And there was a lot of like fear mongering around that, like either like it was like a conform or die kind of thing, like either like get on board or like
what you did for a
or
minute.
like be quiet and like get off to the side. Like that's very much what it felt like.
But it's really surprising to me because it's in West Michigan, which is
but I think that
higher ed.
Well, if you step out of
the
university, right, and you go into like Western Michigan is a very like traditional family values.
Yeah.
Largely speaking, right? Again, like
there's pockets.
Yeah. So, anyways, I just don't want to be afraid to talk about these kind of things because I'm worried that I'm going to be like judged or like. But it's okay. Like, but I'm not worried about people disagreeing with me.
No,
like,
and
that's
I'm happy
okay
to have a conversation. Like
Yeah.
I have become a political person. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like it's kind of weird, but now I'm just like, there's things that I'm still growing and developing my own opinions on and learning, but like.
Yeah.
I'm interested to do that now. I'm not like...
Cool.
Like, I'm excited that you brought it up, honestly. Yeah. It's cool to talk about. It is an election year. You know, it's a big year for our country. There's no doubt about it. I think everybody feels it. There's been so much crazy stuff going on since COVID, which has been literally our relationship. We started dating December of COVID year 2020, which we've gone through COVID separately. I rollerbladed and played the ukulele.
I had the prison-style lifts in my basement.
Yeah. Prison lifts. So.
Yeah.
But,
I started skating again because I didn't have anything to do.
But now, here we are in 2024. So, it's gonna be interesting, for sure.
Yeah, so.
Well, have we been together for, like,
We got together at 12/12/20.
Right. So I'm saying that, well, Biden would have just been stepping into office because they usually get into office in January. So Biden's term, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, that's weird to frame it that way.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, can I tell you something funny that just reminded me of that, of what you just reminded me of? Okay, so like, gosh, why did I just draw this connection? Oh, okay, so, like, instead of saying, like, we've been together for 4 years, you were kind of saying, like, well, we've been together for, like, Biden's
term.
presidency, right? Yeah, well, like, so there's this channel, and I'm totally, like, getting out of this, by the way, I'm going on to something else. So, there's this channel online called Vsauce, right? And he's epic. I love him. He's, like, the mad scientist mixed with, like, I just love to learn, and, like, I love cool and wacky facts, and I want to present them. And I watched this short that he made. And it was like a book of bad maps, okay? So what makes a map bad, right? Well, like the cover of this book, it's like, so map of the United States, right? Indiana is red, right? And the rest of the United States is green. The key, red, the key at the bottom,
Indiana.
Red, Indiana, green, not Indiana. And you're like...
All right.
And then like another one was like, okay... Oklahoma implies the presence of good Lahoma and bad Lahoma. And like it was like the state that was this way and then it was facing up and then it was facing down. And just like creative but like just stupid like stuff, and it was so really funny to me. Yeah, so yeah. You okay?
I just like did that gleek thing.
Oh, gross.
I've heard it happens more when after you have braces, because it happens to me a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I had braces twice.
Like something about
it.
Salivary glands.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, my friend.
Hey, did you ever have your wisdom teeth removed?
I did.
Yeah.
All 4 at once. I was in high school and I got it done over winter break, and
What a way to spend winter break. Didn't even get to skip any school.
It was brutal. I think it was my junior year too, and I literally remember like.
Oh, that's early.
I literally bent over to pick up, like I had an accident off my nightstand, and I bent over and blood rushed to my head, and I literally like almost like passed out, face planted, and then I got up and I was so dizzy, and I just went back to bed.
Whoa.
That was a real memory I had. And yeah, it was traumatic. I literally didn't heal like fully for like 3 weeks. And I had given myself like, I think a week and a half before I had to go back to school. Because I got it done like right after Christmas, you know? So, and I would go back to school and this kid named Hunter Sutton, he told me that I looked like I had the biggest chipmunk cheeks, and I was so upset. It was not a nice thing to say at the time.
See, when I hear these stories, just like as your fiance, the man that loves you, like,
well,
I've told you this before. I wish that we were like together back then. I could have taken you to all of your dances.
That's true.
Right? And like for both of us, high school was, you know, kind of an unhappy time for both of us. So like we would have had each other and we wouldn't have had to deal with all of that.
I know.
You know, like
he wasn't. Here's the actual me trying to defend him a little bit. He wasn't trying to be mean. Like he was actually just like being like funny. Okay. But
was he a friend of yours?
Yeah. Okay. But at the time, I was so self-conscious.
Yeah, you're like, I can't do this right now, man.
Dude, like, why did you have to point it out? Like, everyone sees it. And I was trying to convince myself that whole morning, like, oh no, like, it's fine. You're just overreacting. Like, nobody can tell. But your girl
it's literally just swelling.
Your girl was down bad.
Yeah.
Why?
I've always said yes.
You have?
Yeah.
Had them taken out?
All of them, yeah. I'll tell you the story in a second. But I just want to include this. Like, I've told you this before, but, like, my only regret is not meeting you sooner. Oh. Like, I don't know. It's all God's plan, and, like, we met at a time and place when I think we were, ready to receive one another, right? And for that type of, like, serious, like, commitment. And also, like, we had to, like, develop, like, independently into the people that we were and are so that we, like, wanted to fall in love with one another, right? So, like, I don't know. I trust God's divine plan like for us in our lives, and I think our relationship has like played out pretty perfectly. So it's just that I don't know, I'm always wanting more time with you. So if I had my little time machine, I would, you know,
skeet skirt back on there.
But yeah, so my story about my wisdom teeth removal, I think it took like 14 minutes or something. And, like, for him to take out all of them, and he, like, I don't remember this because I was loopy, but my mom said that he, like, came out and he kind of, like, bragged about that. He was like, oh, personal best, you know, like, that kind of thing. That was, like, his attitude, and I was like, okay, I don't know if I want to be the guy that you, like, race through, literally. Yeah. I was like, that's kind of weird, like, congrats? I didn't know what to say, but, like, I was, like, loopy, and I remember thinking that but, like, awake. I was never fully out. I was like,
the laughing gas or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember.
And then what happened? My mom took me home, and I was friends with this guy named John Schwerb at the time, and a really great guy. You know that I still have so much love in my heart for like all of those dudes. But he lent me The Legend of Korra, which is the sequel to probably my favorite show of all time, which is Avatar: The Last Airbender, right? So I watched all of that in like a day and a half, on the couch in my parents' living room, right? And I was posted up there. And then, but like the second day after that, I went back to the gym. I took the day off for the surgery, and then day 2, I went back because I'm like, fuck, I'm fine, you know? And I've already got a square face, so like I had chipmunk cheeks, but like it wasn't like as much of a difference, you know, because you have like you have a womanly face shape. Like I have that like square man jaw, so like for my jaw to be a little more like that, it wasn't as big of a deal. Like... Yeah. So, but I went and I'm like licking my stitches and everything, and like the blood.
Oh, ew, babe.
Okay, I'm sorry for too much detail.
Yeah,
I get it.
Gross.
Okay, I get it. And I didn't know that like if your blood pressure got
too high,
you could burst them, right? Like pop your stitches. And I remember like just a pressure in my mouth kind of thing, and I'm like, oh, I gotta chill out. But one got infected. I remember that. Might have been from that, and.
Dang.
Yeah.
I have a funny story about it. We were walking out. I was like dancing on my tiptoes to the car. Like, I can walk by myself.
Wow.
Just totally doped. But yeah. Those videos are kind of funny. Like
they were a trend on the internet there for a minute. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Those were pretty hilarious. Yeah, did you go with your mom?
And my dad.
Mm.
Yeah, we're both there.
They must have been having a great time. Yeah.
Oh no, it's brutal.
It's late. Do you want to go to bed?
Oh, I'm so tired. Okay. Yeah, let's cash.
I love you.
Love you.